Blog Talk Radio.
gangster lean. Y'all should dig my son.
First World Order Radio, finally, we are on the air, no doubt. All right.
There's always going to be somebody in the building on First World Order Radio.
Keep going into some of that order consciousness tonight.
First World Order Radio every Wednesday, 8 p.m.
We got to talk about what is taking place on the planet.
There's always going to be somebody in the building on First World Order Radio. First, we need to let you know we're going to be doing more shows, giving out more information on Wednesdays. Wednesdays, 8 o'clock. We're now going to make this the hottest day of the week.
Proceeding levels in time, order, importance. The most common parts, places, or instruments. Earth's state of human concerns in existence, and the definition of time, quantity, or distance. System regulates to bring about specifics in the region of natural characteristics. Current radiates electromagnetistics of sound through the same that your thoughts transmits it. Proceeding levels in time, order, importance. The most common parts, places, or instruments. Earth's state of human concerns in existence, and the definition of time, quantity, or distance. System regulates to bring about specifics in the region of natural characteristics. Current radiates electromagnetistics of sound through the same that your thoughts transmits it.
You need to understand how magical this something like this every Wednesday can become. So you need to start getting your calendar right, get your schedule right. You need to know our intention straight out.
All right, so these clues are given throughout the various languages to piece the puzzle of this ancient mystery school back together again.
And what we plan on doing, both of us, is bringing y'all some surefire dynamite. We're going to take this level up a notch. We're going to have stuff to do here. This is not just going to be about philosophies and theories, shit that works.
You have an activated pilot landing which I produced this black chemical called melanin.
What we did was gave a hard line in the sand between the different definitions of esoteric study and exoteric study. Playtime is over.
Peace. Back once again with Dr. El-Bey. Yes, we're doing today's show because we want to finish up what we did yesterday, which was on the secret societies and the sacred rituals. Brother L, are you here, brother?
Hey, I tell you, Washington East.
Yeah, I tell you, Washington East, Shock. All right, I know because of technical difficulties, I wasn't able to stay on long. You can definitely go over a summary of some of the things that y'all got a chance to speak about, and that way we can start from there.
Well, yeah, we were talking about mainly about bringing the sacred sciences that we have in the Masonic lodges and other temples and bringing it out into the Asiatic communities, which where they originally belong. Mm-hmm. That's what we were discussing, you know.
Right. So, essentially what we do know is that Freemasonry is a fraternal order, which is worldwide, and essentially an institution which is supposed to preserve the key knowledge or parts of true human history, anthropology, philosophy, religion, cosmology, or metaphysics, which is esoteric teachings, as well as mathematics, science, liberal arts, world history, spiritual geometry, jurisprudence, which is law or moral government, as well as also astrology or astronomy and alchemy. That's what is supposed to be preserved for Freemasonry. Is that not true? So I know you went over last night that Freemasonry is Moorish science, which is the modern day name for the ancient Egyptian mystery school called Samatawi, or what is called the Haka or the Herbak, which is veiled and held for the purpose of empowering the few. But nowadays, it appears that it is somewhat out of injury, as you were saying, of enslavement and promote ignorance of the masses or to the masses. There's approximately 5.9 million Freemasons worldwide. 4.1 million lives in the United States and Canada. Of the remainder 1.1 million Freemasons outside of the two North American countries, the two American countries such as South and North America, you have 550,000 living in England, Wales, and about 400,000 living in Scotland. Well, there's about 375,000 that are in Australia, India, Japan, Africa, Israel. I think the Philippines accommodates about 50 to 10,000 Freemasons respectively. So, this is everybody included. Today there is about 5,000 Prince Hall lodges and 47 Grand Lodges, which trace their origin to the African Lodge of Free and Accepted Masons, which is actually Lodge number 1, which later became known as 459, from Boston, Massachusetts. Of course, founded by Prince Hall, or who they believed or stated to have just been Prince Hall. Based on the latest information, I know based on my findings, Prince Hall was a mystic name, and it leads more towards the individual known as Ben-Bey or Emmanuel Moore Ali, who's known as Benjamin Banneker. Of course, that's from my information. I mean, we can always go back and do more research, but for some reason, based on everything which I've been reading here for the last 20-some-odd years, this is what we respectively have gathered. So they both lived the same time, died around the same time. And that's unusual for them to have known the same people They both knew the exact same people, but yet neither. There's no information concerning the meeting of these two great men. You know, and that is definitely unusual. You know, also we want to talk about the worldwide fraternal shrine family that has membership of approximately 35,000 and some 227 shrine temples and 200 courts. With the Women of Celery, which is the Daughters of Isis throughout the continental United States, Mexico, Canada, Germany, Italy, England, Spain, Hawaii, Japan, Korea, Guam, Panama, the Bahamas, even Thailand. You know, so we know that even the ancient Egyptian Arabic order known as mystic shrine. So there's also the ancient Arabic order nobles of the mystic shrine. They're primarily what's called benevolence or charitable fraternal organizations. Of course, normally nowadays, if you can get to the Blue House, which is the master degree level, what's called Master Mason, you can actually join the ancient Egyptian Arabic order nobles of the mystic shrines within the Prince Hall. A few years ago, of course, you had to have been at least a 32nd or 33rd degree to be able to do so. What's your take on that, Brother L?
Yes, the 32nd and the 32nd and 33rd degree usually falls within the Scottish Rite rituals. It also deals with astronomy and astronomical science. It deals with the 33rd deals with the as the sun between each star constellation. We both know there is 30 degrees. But
right,
I think
exactly.
between between Leo and the constellation of I don't know if it's Cancer.
Right.
The sun rises at 33 degrees for the highest.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And this is where besides the 33 vertebrae of the spinal cord and between the 33 A's of the Jesus Christ and the 33 degrees of they say they're supposed to be above freezing, but that's not
right.
exactly what all that means. You know, it deals with other sciences, you know, and this is where a lot of the 33rd degree comes from.
Right. So that goes back to mathematics, what you just spoke about, metaphysics, astrology, everything that we said that Freemasonry is supposed to be about. That's what you just broke down. Now, why do you think that the average Mason doesn't know this information, Brother Al?
Well, because they don't. As I myself, as a 32 degree Prince Hall Mason, you can go to each one of the houses, and every time I tried to bring something esoteric to them, either it seems boring to them or they're not trying to hear it. You know, you know, they don't know. You ask the average Royal Arch Mason, what do the colors of the Royal Arch, red and white, means? Most of them can't tell you. They can't tell you. I broke it down to them. I said the red represents Mars, the white can represent the moon, or the red can represent the woman's menstrual cycle, and the white can represent the sperm of the male. You know, but they kind of like, you know, yeah, so what? You know, that kind of attitude, you know. And, and I mean, like, you know, I'm like, wow. You know, they're not teaching. You ask them why is the junior deacon by the senior warden in the south, and why is the senior deacon sit on the right side of the worship master? They can't tell you. You know, they can't tell you it's based off astrological and astronomical science.
Exactly. Well, there's an interesting book. There's an interesting book called Out of the Shadows. There's an interesting book called Out of the Shadows: The Emergence of the Prince Hall Freemasonry in America. It's written by Alton G. Roundtree. He's the past master of the Redemption Lodge number 24, the largest lodge in Washington, D.C., principal jurisdiction, and also Paul M. Basu. He's the past senior warrant of the Grand Lodge of the District of Columbia in Washington, D.C. And they essentially state that there was two competing sets of organizations within the Prince Hall Freemasonry. A minority of lodges, which was the subject to the Prince Hall National Grand Lodge, who they refer to as the Prince Hall Origin, and the majority of lodges who were subject to 42 independent state Grand Lodges who were known as the Prince Hall Affiliate. Now, of course, I understand that you are an affiliate.
Right.
Have you heard about the Prince Hall Origin?
No, I haven't. Not that, not even the book. You said Out of the Shadows. This is my first time hearing about the book.
Right. Definitely go and get this book, Brother L, because it's essential. It says, through the influence of these two foreign correspondents by men such as William T. Boyd and others, many other Grand Lodges under the jurisdiction of the National Grand Lodge withdrew and engaged in merging as Grand Lodges Independent Grand Lodge. It says these Grand Lodges withdrew, right? And they are now styled as a Prince Hall affiliate. They were also adaptive, appendant, and affiliated bodies, including all the houses of Scottish Rite, the York Rite, and of course on the York side, we know that the Knights Templar would be like the equivalent to the 33rd degree on the Scottish Rite, and the Scottish Rite, of course, is the sovereign Inspector General.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. I went all the way to the Knights Templar degree, and the Royal Arch is considered the 13th degree, dealing with 13th number was dealing with reformation or rebirth, or relearning, and the 13th of the York Rite, the 33rd of the Scottish Rite. You know, I went all the way up the ladder on the York Rite.
Okay.
But I went to the 32 degrees in the Scottish Rite. I never got to the 33rd.
Got you. Of course, we have the Order of the Eastern Star and the Shriners. And it says, based on the proceedings of the Prince Hall Independent Grand Lodge minutes of 1877, the National Compact was never dissolved. And because it was constituted by Grand Lodges tracing their lineage to the African Lodge 459, and thus were their offspring. It says, then, PHO today cannot be declared irregular or clandestine. The charges against PHO of reforming itself illegally can be reversed against the PHA lodges that withdrew from the compact. For if they withdrew and constituted themselves, then they are clandestine. Even so, today Prince Hall lodges exist in the United States, Canada, Caribbean, and Liberia. It says the governing Prince Hall lodges around the world. It says previously a Grand Lodge has traced its lineage to the Grand Lodges, of course, of England, Scotland, or Ireland. It says now England has added the African Lodge 459. It says, however, many years Prince Hall Masonry was considered irregular and clandestine by most of the Grand Lodge jurisdictions. No doubt, racially biased played a part in basically the determination. It says Europeans or Albion Masons took Prince Hall Masons and Shriners to court, claiming that the Prince Hall Masonry overall was clandestine. It says the European or Albion, as I say, Masonic order lost their legal battle to the Prince Hall Masons, and on June 29, 1929, the United States Supreme Court handed down the decision that granted the Prince Hall Masons and Shriners that they had all the rights as a fraternity to appear in public or in private to practice time-honored traditions of Masonry. Considering Prince Hall Masonry, it is important to realize that for most of its existence, European Freemasons have been a very racist institution. According to data compiled in 2011, 42 out of 51 mainstream United States Grand Lodges recognize Prince Hall Grand Lodges.
Right.
You know, and of course, you know all of this, Brother L. So, I mean, what's your take on the racist on a racist bias, and are they using the racist bias because most Freemasons or Prince Hall status is not declared their nationality, or that's something in which that they're just saying because of the skin color? What is your take on that?
My take on that is that because most of the Prince Hall Masons haven't declared their nationality and birthright, this is the issue here. Most people think it's about skin color. It's never been about skin color. It's about birthright theft. The issue here is that another issue here is that they don't want us to know true science, which is our science that they have. It belongs to us. This is our birthright, to have this science. And that's a bit of most Prince Hall Masons to know, so therefore they try to keep it a secret and then tell them they have a secret, which is not a secret at all. The sacred science that they call a secret is about us and our people, and it only benefits the European Masonic order and don't benefit us at all. It doesn't benefit us, by holding these sacred science and trying to keep these sacred science from our people. Another thing here, Nathan Bedford Forrest was a Confederate general that started the Ku Klux Klan in 1866. Which was dissolved in 1869 because they had veered off from the true mission, what the Ku Klux Klan was supposed to be about, supposed to fight off the carpetbaggers and keep them from taking advantage of their women. That's what their mission was. But they started lynching, lynching and burning down homes of so-called black people. That was not their true mission originally. But like I said, the first one, he was a Freemason. Nathan Bedford Forrest was, which a whole bunch of Confederate generals.
And of course, was the Southern was from the South, but he was head of the Northern jurisdiction of Freemasonry.
Ain't that something? Ain't that something?
Yeah, and of course, Alvin Pike wrote the book Dogma, Morals, and Dogma. And today he has a statue in Washington D.C.
He sure does.
So he was a Southern general, but he was head of the Northern jurisdiction of Freemasonry amongst the Albions, and was part founder to the KKK with Bedford.
Yeah. Big time.
So this is the thing. So therefore, so-called blacks and Moors, who traditionally was excluded from the craft on the grounds that they claim that a Masonic candidate must be a free man, freeborn, of good report, and well recommended. Obviously, the freeborn qualification could be used, and in fact was used for centuries, to keep so-called black men out of the lodge, since most so-called blacks were of slave ancestry. At least this is what they told us. And so that was the consensus amongst them. However, we as Moors know a different story. So if you go and study, it says Straight Talk number 4 on Prince Hall, African American Freemasonry by William J. Sherberling. Now, Sherberling, he was known to be a 33rd degree Freemason, and that is what he wrote. But we know as Moors that the European Albions were slaves.
Exactly.
They were slaves also. And in fact, the origin of the word slave is derived from the word Yugoslavian, which is the European word for Yugoslavic or Slav during the Middle Age. Now, in the 16 to 1800s, you have the Africans and mostly Arabs, Tony Moors, who enslaved more than 1 million Europeans, Albions, in what is known as the Barbary slave trade. This is why you had to have the Barbary Treaty. Because we was enslaving them.
Exactly.
They raided up the coastlines of Europe, particularly the Albions, now called the British Islands or Isles, by even as far as Iceland, kidnapping and enslaving Europeans. Albions. Irish slaves began when King James II sold 30,000 Irish prisoners as slaves to the New World.
Mm-hmm.
So who did they sell them 30,000 Irish slaves to in the New World?
To the Moors.
Bingo. So
yes,
his proclamation, right? So his proclamation of 1624 required Irish political prisoners to be sent overseas and sold to English settlers, allegedly. All right. Of course, we know there was also Moors in the West Indies. All right. So it says by the mid 1600s, the Irish were 70% of the total population. All right, who was enslaved there in in the West Indies. It says, matter of fact, it goes on. It says Ireland quickly became the biggest source of human livestock for English merchants. So they talking about blacks, Africans selling Africans into slavery. Goddamn, nobody talk about the Europeans selling Europeans into slavery.
Yeah, that's the part of the European history they're not going to talk about.
Right. Well, that's why we here. We talking about it. So the majority of the first slaves to the New World were actually Albion, Europeans, so-called whites. Mm-hmm. So during the 1650s, over 100,000 Irish children was taken from their parents and sold as slaves in the West Indies, in Virginia, in the New England, which is New York territorial area. Now, people don't want to believe me. Get this book called White Cargo: The Forgotten History of the British White Slaves in America by Don Jordan and Michael Welch.
Mm-hmm.
This is why we now know why the Ireland or Irish people were called the Green Niggas.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So the Irish were of slave ancestry also. And yet they were able to form the Grand Lodge of Ireland and is recognized.
Yes, it is.
Oh, and as a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, Prince Hall and 14 others allegedly petitioned, right, to become what? Masons under the Grand Lodge of Ireland.
Yes,
via the Lodge number 441. Right?
That was the 38th Irish Foot Regiment.
Right, exactly. Mm-hmm. Right. So if this is what they was talking about, then isn't that the cat called in the kettle black?
Right.
Because if they can be recognized as the Grand Lodge of Ireland and Irish people were sold as slaves, then can't say that the reason for them not recognizing Prince Hall was based on slavery, of them not being freeborn. And the courts also understood that, obviously, and ruled in favor of the Prince Hall being able to practice Freemasonry, which is, of course, of our ancestry lineage, more so than it is of anyone else's on the planet. Being that Freemasonry comes from out of the interior of Africa and into ancient Egypt, from out of Ethiopia. It is within Herodotus, who's supposedly a Greek philosopher. Of course, you go back to one of our last shows from this past week, you find that most of the Greek philosophers actually was African. It was from the Minoans or the Cretans, who was the original people of the Grecian lands prior to the Albions coming out of the Caucasus Mountains into those particular territories.
Okay.
All right. So this is what we're seeing. We know that you had Moors understanding the real issue was nationality, or rather the lack thereof. So what is nationality? Nationality, that quality or character which arises from the fact of a person belonging to a nation or state. Nationality determines the political status of the individual, especially with reference to allegiance, while domicile determines his civil status. Nationality arises either by birth or naturalization. All right? According to Sevani, it says nationality is also used as opposed to territoriality for the purpose of distinguishing the case of a nation having no national territory. Example, the Jews. In other words, the Jews did not have a national territory until after 1945. Prior to that, they was landless, stateless.
Yes, they were.
And they tried going into Africa, into Uganda, and the Ugandans ran their asses up out of there because they did not want them there because they knew of their them controlling the bank, trying to control the banking system, and Africa did not want to allow them in order to be able to do those mischievous things in which that had taken place. So they ran them out. So they went into Palestine, which the biblical name for the Palestinians would be the Philistines or Philistines, as they allegedly is claimed lineage from. And they went there into what is now called Israel, and now have, of course, carved themselves a portion of that land there. And the world is now recognizing them as a state.
Right.
So they are no longer stateless. Now they have a state, the state of Israel. Or is it real? All right. So this is, this is the nonsense which is taking place. What's your thoughts on what's going on here, Brother Al?
Well, if you're dealing with the European Masonic order here, or so-called white Masons, as they want to call them, they did not too recently got a charter from England. And they have because I always wondered, how come Prince Hall had a charter and the European order didn't?
Exactly.
They didn't, and I wonder how is that? Then I found, they were slaves.
No.
They were slaves. They were over here. They weren't then they called themselves winning their independence, but they never did. All that was engineered.
Right, but that means that Prince Hall must have knew about Moorish status, obviously, at that time period.
Yes, he did. He knew the blueprint of civilization.
Right, but see, the thing is that based on Brother Jelani, who's 32nd degrees, also Brother L, he stated, because he's from the York side, and he's also PHO from the Prince Hall origin, he stated, me and him have talked on many occasions about this, and he stated that that the National Compact, that we was talking about, in which that the PHA broke away from, was actually proposed to be an independent Freemasonry Grand Lodge. In other words, they was going to break away from England because England didn't have any power as far as the recognizing them in that regard, because they was taking it back to their ancestry, which would have been based on the ancient Kemetic or Temerian lineage of the ancient mystery school. In other words, the Nile Valley contribution to civilization. Okay? And so, and also they was going to deal, it's called the National Compact because they're going to deal with nationality. And so, you're going to find out, Brother L, as this whole get deeper, what's really going on and what's taking place. So, we know that on September the 29th, 1784, the warrant number 459 ER was issued for the African Lodge. It says 7 signed by the Deputy Grand Lodge, R. Holt, and the Grand Secretary, William White, under the authority of the Grand Master of the Mother Grand Lodge of England, H.R.H., the Duke of Cumberland, issued a charter for the African Lodge number 1. Right now, we know that England was not necessarily called England at that time. It was called Albion. It's called Albion. Then in England at this time, you had a group of Moors who was running things. They was called the Yorkshire Moors. The Yorkshire Moors. Hence, possibly the origin of the York Rite. Okay? This is some things that we're going to have to put the pieces together, because this goes vast into the history of what we refer to as a secret society and the origin, in particular, of Prince Hall Masonry. right?
Yes, it does go a lot deeper. Prince Masonry goes back deeper than a lot of people think it does.
Right.
You know, and the thing is, dealing with the Prince Hall, so the Prince Hall origin, which you shed some light on me about that, because I haven't heard of them, and I like to get contact them Moors as well, you know, and see what they're more about, because what we need to do is grab all of them, you know, and merge them with the Moorish rite.
Yeah, right.
You know,
that's definitely what needs to be done, Brother L.
You know, that's what we need to do, and the Prince Hall affiliate has a charter in Massachusetts, which is encased. They had a charter. It's encased. You know, there's some people said that Prince Hall don't have a charter. Oh, yes, they do too.
Oh, no.
Yes, we do too.
Yeah, that's a lie. Right, they do. Matter of fact, it was almost burnt, but the brother ran back in and got the charter before it was able to be burnt. So yeah, the charter exists. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, I mean, they can't never take it out, of course, because it'll crumble up.
Right.
So that's why they have to keep it in case, like the Constitution. You know, they have to keep it in case, which is our document as well.
Right. Well, this is the history behind it. It says, now, I don't know if you ever heard this, Brother L. I know that I have brothers from the Prince Hall affiliate to tell me this story, that the Boston Tea Party incident allegedly took place on December the 16th, 1773, as this was the history taught in school. And instead of throwing tea off the ships, the perpetrators from St. Andrew's Masonic Lodge of Boston, who did not have their charter at the time, like you said, from England, Samuel Adams and 45 other European Masonic members disguised as Moors, or as they refer to them as the Mohicans or Mohawk Native Americans, dumped the consignments of a few shiploads, all right, which is about 340 chests from about 3 alleged British ships of tea into the Boston Harbor. That's what they told us, right? Yeah. But history never tells us why was the statement made? Why did they do it? They never told us. They say it was taxation without proper representation. True. Well, goddamn, we still being taxed without proper representation.
Exactly.
So we know that could not have been the reason. All right. No. So the historians have said that it was because of double taxation. But nevertheless, according to various high-ranking Prince Hall Masons, 33 degrees is another brother that I spoke with. They were looking for the African Lodge #1 warrant. Right? They was looking for Prince Hall's warrant. All right? Their warrant of authority. Thus, the date had to be much later. It was granted September 29th, 1784, delivered in Boston on April 29th, 1787 by Captain James Scott, son-in-law of John Hancock. Now, we know John Hancock to actually be John Hanson.
Wow.
Okay? So this is another thing in which that is taking place. They keep mixing up historical personalities and characters in order to try to throw us off the path of us freeing ourselves. Because even in the United Nations Declaration of the Rights of Indigenous People and their definition of indigenous people, it specifically states in the definition, Brother L, that we free ourselves.
No, that's right.
That's
we're
what it
the only
says.
ones that can do it.
Bingo. It says that we freed ourselves. So when we go back and we find the real picture of Abraham Lincoln, it's a brother. And we see why in the Library of Congress, why he was made to be or made to look Albion, because in the Library of Congress we found a picture of him being called Africanus the First. And they described him, if you go to a book called Sex and Race by J. Rogers, but even further, you go to another book by J. Rogers called The Five Negro Presidents. He states how Nancy, what's her name? Nancy Hanks, who was Abraham Lincoln's mother, was a mulatto or was so-called, quote-unquote, black. And then it says that he had an affair with an African man. Now, goddamn, now, you know, if you get a mulatto and African man together, what you got, Brother L?
You got a straight up male.
Thank you.
Straight up male.
Right. There's not too much more you can go further with that, is it?
Not at all.
Right. 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 So we know Abraham Lincoln for a fact was melanated, heavily melanated.
Thus the curly hair and the top hat all the time.
And thus why his ass was throwing that brown penny as a reminder of his copper-colored native skin coloring. Because that's the definition of an American based on 1936.
Shine some light on that. You shine some light on that, but his head was turned left, and all other coins was turned right on silver coins.
Exactly. And he was put on a penny because in the definition of 1936 and 1937, Webster Universal Dictionary states specifically, Brother L, American was aboriginal, copper-colored natives.
Exactly.
Copper-colored natives. So we know Abraham Lincoln was melanated. I heard that in the in kindergarten and got real more inklings of it by the time I was in the 3rd grade. Okay? So we know for sure what was taking place. All right? Abraham Lincoln was part of another secret society called the Rosicrucians.
Yes, he was.
He was matter of fact, he was one of the head triads. He was one of the highest ones. It was him, Hitchcock, and of course Rudolph Pastel Beverly Randolph.
Yeah.
Who was his best friend. And they showed this same thing in Lincoln, in the movie Lincoln that came out. All right, I think it was one of the movie Lincolns that came out a few years ago, about 3 years ago, about 3-4 years ago. In the movie, they showed a brother who was his best friend since childhood, you know, who rode with him. And guess what they said in the movie, Brother L, in Lincoln? I think it was Lincoln, the vampire hunter or killer or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
In the movie, right, you might remember that. In the movie, Brother L, the brother said, I need my paperwork so I can be free.
Yes, I remember that.
Now, hold up. Now, this nigga already been free since birth.
So what the hell are you talking about?
He was never even a slave. He was never even a slave, Brother Al. So why in the hell would they even put that part in the movie? He wasn't even
one of his nationality papers.
Bingo. He wanted his nationality documents.
Mm-hmm.
So this is coming from Rosicrucian teachings, obviously, because Abraham Lincoln was one of the head Rosicrucians here in the United States of America.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Beverly Pastel Randolph, who was his best friend, was the damn head Rosicrucian in the world.
Yes, he was.
In the world.
So they have a picture of.
Go ahead, Brother L.
They have a picture of Abraham Lincoln in Moorish garb. He has a scimitar sword, and you know everything. No, everything is marketing. You know.
Right, and that was from the Library of Congress, Brother L.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that was from the Library of Congress. Exactly.
He was Moorish garb down.
Exactly.
Oh, okay, they call it something mocking the man, but they were telling the truth. That's what they were doing.
Exactly. Because why put him on a copper-colored penny or copper penny? And the definition of American, of a true American, is Aboriginal copper-colored native.
Ooh.
And then, brother, it says, the people who was here prior to the invasion of their territory by the Europeans. So the Europeans are not Americans. They are the ones who are U.S. citizens because they have to be naturalized into being American or given the appearance of being American under colorable law. But they're not American. They are U.S. citizens. They're the ones which that fall under the 14th Amendment, if that's the case. But we don't fall under the 14th Amendment, and that's what Judge Taney was really saying, is that we're not U.S. citizens, nor will we ever be.
So therefore you can't be on the 14th Amendment.
Right, because we are the Americans. The United States is of America. America is not of the United States. One has a superior position. One has a superior position.
Mm-hmm.
An American has the superior position because we are the indigenous, native inhabitants, original inhabitants of this land.
No doubt.
Right. So when we talk about the Rosicrucians, we know that they came by way of an individual by the name of Francis Bacon. And Francis Bacon actually was William Shakespeare, and William Shakespeare formed the Shakespearean Council, in which they put together the Bible itself. And this is the reason why, of course, Masons turn to Psalms. What is that? 133.
Mm-hmm. 133.
Put that on the altar. Right, and put that on the altar.
Sure do.
And say how happy we are for the brothers, or how glad we are for the brothers to bound together in brotherhood.
Yes. Oh yeah. That's what they do when they initiate it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
They had that on the altar. That's dealing with the first degree.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm. They're dealing with the first degree when you first initiated.
Right.
They put the,
read that out. Yeah, they read that out. Mm-hmm. Brother L, we'll go to the phone line right quick.
Oh, okay.
We'll go to area code 740-740. You on the line?
How you brothers doing tonight?
Great.
All right, we doing well.
Thank you guys, gentlemen, for blessing us with this information. Thank you so much. There's I found out that that this brother touched on something that really touched me, and you just put a piece of the puzzle in that really helped me out. The reason why they celebrate St. Patrick's Day, and correct me if I'm wrong, is when they got the black folks from out of Ireland, right?
Exactly. They ran the snakes from out of Ireland. Right.
And snake was code word for blacks. And if you look at it, the Irish people, they were a mixed race of people. So that's in part, I think, why they were treated so bad, you know, by me being a truck driver out there.
There was a mulatto fixed race.
Huh?
There was a mulatto fixed race, exactly.
And one of the lingering elements that's in them, if you see a white person out here that's got red in them, and they're honest, and if they tell you, that's that lingering trait of more blood that's in them.
Right.
You know, that you can't even get out. You know, signs of curly hair, and it's something. You remember when this golfer Rory McIlroy? Right. He's Irish and he's got curly hair. So I was like, whoa, that's that black skill coming out on the golf course.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like you remember Tiger when he went down for his knee surgery, then Vijay Singh stepped up. He's another brother, you know, from Fiji Island. And then now there's Rory. So it's kind of like that gene of excellence stayed in there, and it never went nowhere. Yeah, give me some explanation, brother.
Well, you right on point.
With that.
You know, exactly, because there's a group of Moors who is actually branched away from the Moorish Science Temple of America. It's under a brother by the name, under a European, Albion, who is Irish, by the name of Hakeem Okay. It's called the Moorish Orthodox Church. And and he states that the Irish were accepted as Moors even in the teachings of Prophet Noble Ali. When people read the oral, so when people read the oral and prophecy statements of Prophet Noble Ali, it is stated in there that the Irish were considered Moors based on the same thing that you just talked about. And if you get the book Ancient and Modern Britons by Volume 1 and 2 by David McRitchie, he essentially goes into the same information. He tells you that the Moors mixed so heavily up there within Ireland, till it produced a fixed mulatto race, essentially.
Now, when you say fixed mulatto race, what do you mean?
Right. In other words, there was so much black genes there that they keep popping out, just like you said. It becomes fixed within their genealogy, that it keeps showing up over and over and over again. A fixed mulatto race, meaning that they have not been able to yet eradicate the black genes within them. It keeps coming up.
Okay. I'm listening to you. I got some background noise right now. But I'll be free from the back. Sir, thank you.
Okay, peace.
What we're going to do, brother, we're going to keep your mic on. Alim has his online class, and usually, and thus forth on, we're going to have Chief Mosiah, who's the officer, be on Thursdays. So be looking for on Friday, tomorrow. It's
right. We're going to go back to the temple meetings on Fridays too, Brother L.
Okay.
Yep. Right. So definitely join us tomorrow for that.
So Brother L, we're going to leave you and the other brother on if y'all want to build for another 2 more hours.
Or for another hour or whatever you want to do.
But you're going to have to call in. You're going to have to call in on the host number, or your call is going to get cut off in an hour.
Right.
So I'm going to turn his
cut off
mic
in an hour.
Yep. So we're going to turn the brother's mic on, and we're going to be out. Peace and love. We appreciate y'all.
All right. Peace.
Okay. Yeah, you still there, brother?
Yes. Still here.
Okay. I wanted to ask. I heard you talk about the 13th degree, but being a truck driver, there's one thing I noticed by checking out a map is that when you take the Washington obelisk, and if you lay it down pointing west, it'll go right through the St. Louis Gateway and the Royal Arches National Park, and end up right around Yosemite and the Gateway Bridge. And there's a big old bridge that's in West Virginia called the New River Gorge Bridge. Are you familiar with that?
No, I'm not.
It's a big bridge that is shaped like the arch in St. Louis, but it goes over this big old river gorge, and they have a festival every year. People get together, they bungee jump from off of it, right? And so one day I was looking at my map, and I got to going through that 33rd parallel, which the Washington obelisk sits on. And it's funny, when you take and line that all up, there is that river gorge that's in West Virginia, there is the St. Louis Gateway, and there is also in Kansas a place called the National Monument Arch Dome. There's also in Gateway, Colorado, and the Arches National Park, which is in Utah. All these line right up together, and I was wondering if anything like that was taught in the Masonic Lodge in terms of the old ways of traveling.
Yes, just because they're all stargates.
Okay.
Yeah, they're all stargates. That St. Louis Arch, they're all stargates.
Now, when you say stargate, explain that to us, because I'm acting from a ignorant position.
Oh, I'm ignorant to a certain level myself. So
okay.
The Stargate, like it deals with the Royal Arch degrees. It has 7 degrees in the Royal Arch Masonry, dealing with the 7 chakras. You know about the 7 chakras, or the 7 wheels of light?
Is that the one with the colors and all that?
Yeah, different colors. Yeah, the Kundalini chakra. We call it Kundalini.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's what it all relates to.
Okay.
That's what it all relates to.
Oh, okay, the 7 chakras.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And do you remember the movie The Rise of the Planet of the Apes?
Rise of the... I never did see that movie.
Okay, you never seen the first one?
No, I never seen the first one. I never see... for some reason, I never did... watch them bits and pieces because it seemed like every time they come on, I always had something to do.
Okay. Do you remember at the end where they had crossed over the bridge and it said Caesar's home?
Okay, yeah, I remember that part. Yeah.
Okay. Now, if you take that latitude, that's the 37th parallel, which is the same parallel which we came in on Jamestown, Virginia, which is at the 37th parallel. Isn't that funny how they meet up right there?
Yeah, that is.
And then, and when they crossed over, he said Caesar is home. It's kind of funny. They crossed over from the city, they crossed the bridge, and then they went over into a wooded area. And he said Caesar is home. And I found that interesting. I don't quite know the full dynamics of the symbolism in it, but I know in time we will know, but it had a really deep meaning to it.
Yes, it does. Yes, it has a lot of symbolism in this country that is really based off of Moorish science, and that most having a hard time dealing with other Masons and trying to tell them that. But the European Masons already know. Those are in the know, because most of the European Masons are also kept in the dark as well, that most people don't know. They're kept in the dark until they reach to the higher, or what you could say, to this certain sect of their Masonry, where they reveal the light to them. And the thing is that most, like I was saying earlier, a lot of the brothers in the Prince Hall fraternities and other fraternities think they have a secret, but it is not a secret. Not a secret at all. It is the sacred sciences of our people that belongs to our people, and our people where it belongs, and not in the lodges. Because it's our science. It belongs to us.
Yes.
And the reason why they want to keep most of us from learning these things, because it will bring us back to our potential where we're supposed to be at, where our ancient foremothers and forefathers was at one time. Our rise will be their fall, but it don't exactly have to be like that, because I don't have no problem with Europeans practicing Masonry, because Masonry consists of a whole lot of things. It deals with geometry, astronomy, astrology, trigonometry, geography. It deals with different sciences, so they know how to plant, when to plant, to grow, to grow plants, food, vegetables, fruit, when to harvest, all that's our science, If they don't have these sciences, they'll starve to death. They wouldn't survive, So So I have no problem with that, but don't try to take our sacred sciences and take it from us and put it in some lodge and try to hide it and say it's a secret. So you can stay on top and we can stay, down below. That's the problem I have with it. Yes. You got something to say? You want to say?
No, I was kind of caught up in what you were saying. I don't know that much about a Masonic information, Masonry, but I have, from what I've gathered, that number 33 is a very important number.
Yes.
It's very important, and it has an importance in numbers and symbolism. What I see, especially here in America, I think you mentioned there was 33 vertebrates. That's in the
the vertebrae. Yeah, vertebrae.
Vertebrae.
Dealing with the 33 dealing with the when the sun there's 30 degrees between each star constellation of stars. But I think between the constellation star of Cancer and the constellation star of Leo, I think that's when the sun rises its highest, and which is 33 degrees. And then it starts, waning down again after they pass to the zodiac sign of, actually it passed to the zodiac sign of Cancer nowadays. But it depends on which day and age, that could have been in the age of, no telling, the age of Taurus at that time. I'm talking about ancient times, since time immemorial, but nowadays, the summer solstice is now in Cancer now, so the sign of Cancer.
Okay, which is June 21st?
Yes.
June 21st. Now, what day is? Now, when is the vernal equinox and the autumn equinox?
The vernal equinox usually falls whenever it varies between each years. It could be in March, or it could be late March, or it could be in early April. The vernal equinox actually is it don't exactly starts on the date on the 21st of March, which designated as spring. Not necessarily, because it depends on when what you call the vernal equinox, which is the spring equinox. So during springtime, it deals with the equinox is a Greek word for equinites. When the darkness, when the darkness of night equals the light of day, and that was the equinite. And when the light, when it finally have a little light, when the darkness of light overcomes the little light of the darkness of night, then that's what you call the Passover.
Okay.
That's what a lot of your Easter and your Jewish Passover is based off of, during the spring equinox.
Okay. Now, what about the fall?
The autumn equinox is the same thing. The same thing. That's when the darkness of night overcomes the light of the day, and during the autumn season. It's just like I call them autumn because it's not actually the fall season. The fall season don't really come until to October, when the sun passes through the Scorpio sign, and the Scorpio kisses the sun. That's where they have when the Scorpio kisses the sun dies. The sun drops a little bit further. Well, it's already dropping anyway, but it drops further toward winter. But winter, which signifies death, and that's where they get the kiss of death come from.
Okay.
That's where the kiss of death come from, and that's what you call it the fall season. That's when the sun appears to be falling. But actually, it's not the sun falling. Really, it's the earth that's rotating around the sun that makes the sun appears that it's moving, but it is not. So I want to
Do
get
you
that
know
out
what
there
that
too.
date is on the autumn equinox?
Like I said, it could vary. It varies.
Okay.
It's supposed to be September 21st, September 1st to September 21st. It could be September 22nd, 23rd. It depends, you know.
Okay.
When the light, you know, the light of day and the darkness of night, you know, when the darkness overcome the light, when they have more darkness than light each day, you know, and that's when you have your equinox. That's where your equinoxes come in at, or equinites.
Now, it's funny you said that. But the reason why I asked, John Coltrane he was an equinox baby, and so was Ray Charles. And Bruce Springsteen. And when I look at it, those three have made a major contribution in terms of music, in terms of their style and what they have given. Do you think that by them being born on and around that time, that has anything to do with it?
Yes, it could have. Yeah, as a great possibility. Yes, because they carry certain energy vibrations, and especially if they know they have this energy, this type of energy. Yeah, I would say that has a lot to do with it.
Okay, because you know John made a song called Equinox, and I wonder if he made that with the knowledge of who he was in terms of his astrological sign and date.
He could have.
You know?
He could have. Very well have. You know. You get some musicians that deal with a lot of astronomy and astrology, you know, and they use it to their art and their music, you know.
Oh, do they?
Yes. Oh, yeah. There's some. I ain't saying all of them do, but there are a lot of them that does.
Okay.
That's how a lot of the your politicians they have certain elections a certain year, or like the inaugurations on January 20th and so forth. You know, that deals also with astronomical science. That deals with the as somebody explained it to me one time. It deals with one of the zodiac sign. I forgot what it was. It was dealing with let me see. January 20th. Let me get this straight here. I don't want to tell you nothing wrong.
Yes, sir.
My brother was explaining that to me one time. A brother named Abdullah El-Bey. I don't know if you heard of him or not.
No, sir. I've never heard of him.
You know, he deals with Taj Bey. You heard of Taj Bey?
No, I don't. I don't.
Oh, okay, okay.
Much
yeah, okay. I got you. Yeah, he was telling me that the reason why they had on the 20th of January dealing with the oh boy, he explained it to me, but I can't hardly remember how he explained it. That's why they have it on the 20th. Like the so-called New Year, actually is in 3rd of July, because the 3rd of July is the Kemetic, or the Egyptian New Year, is where the European got that from.
Oh,
I'll take you.
So
that's why you have a lot of fireworks. You know, have a lot of fireworks on the New Year's, and you have a lot of fireworks on the 4th of July as well.
Okay.
See, that's not a coincidence. No.
So it seems like they're just again saying what you said. They've taken what was birthed from out of us, and they just put some white sheets on it.
Yeah. The all of the holidays. You can take the Christmas holidays as well. They took a lot of that, because the Moor in Europe, Saint Maurice, was the first Santa Claus. They got his body entombed now in Austria, Germany, to this very day.
Wasn't he the one that Hitler used to pay homage to?
What now?
Wasn't he the one that Hitler used to pay homage to?
I believe he did.
I think it was a brother.
His body's entombment. They never did mess with it, even when Hitler was in power. So
Hitler had looked up to this guy because of his courageousness in some manner. And I had a brother who was very educated, gave me an article, which I no longer have, gave it to me about 4 years ago. I think this was St. Maurice and his 666 men had stood, and they were, instead of, I believe, something to the effect of either bowing down or whatever, they said, we'll take death. So they were all kind of killed,
Mm-hmm.
Does that make any sense? Am I saying it right?
I haven't heard of that, but I would sure like to read that book though. Where you got the information from?
There was an article that came out in the Los Angeles Times.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it came from. And he had cut out the article, and he had specifically gave it to me,
Okay. For you to read.
I read it, but I don't remember a whole lot of it.
All right. Yeah, I haven't read or studied that part of it yet.
Okay. But I will tell you this, is that when you look at the Rose Bowl and the Rose Parade, which they do in Pasadena, I believe that the Rose Parade is giving and paying homage to the Rosicrucians, as that brother talked about earlier. I don't know who the Rosicrucians are. Do you have any idea?
Also, is a science that the Europeans had took. Another company we call Moorish science again. They're dealing with the red rose, dealing with the incarnations of man's soul. The red rose. Do we have a red rose on a rose parade or rose bowl? Is it a red rose that they show?
Yes, it's a red rose.
Yes, that's red rose. Yeah, that's Rosicrucian. Rosicrucian means rosy cross or rose cross. That's what it means.
Rose cross?
Yeah, rose cross. Sometimes you hear it pronounced in its Latin form, Moorish Latin form, ROSICRUCIANS.
Oh.
Yeah, it's another mystical order. They're a little more secretive than the Masons, but it's still a mystical order. That most Europeans practice. Sometimes the Europeans got old too, and call it the Rosicrucian order.
It seems like it carries a little power and weight with it. From just a group of people who's entangled in there.
Yeah, like I said, they had one lodge here, it's a Caucasian lodge here. I don't know if it's still here or not in the St. Louis, Missouri Republic. I don't know if it's here or not. They have one here. It's called Amark, Ancient Mystical Order of Rosicrucians. I have been there in a long time because I used to be a member of the Rosicrucian Order as well. As you know, went all 9 degrees. We have 9 degrees, or 9 degrees plus, and I went through all the degrees in the Rosicrucian order and studied the sacred sciences. And as I compared the science with the Moorish science, actually, I found out it was Moorish science.
Okay.
That I was dealing with, but I wasn't in the Moorish Divine National Movement at the time. You know, I was just studying, you know, growing, studying. Excuse me, studying, you know, trying to know things like you are, you know,
yes,
looking for enlightenment, you know, and as I looked at the past, as dealing with the Rosicrucians and dealing with the Moorish science, as nothing but Moorish science again, you know, that all of this is our science, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
What would you say the difference is in a couple of nuances between the Masons and the Rosicrucians?
The Masons today are mostly they don't deal with the esoteric science of Moorish science. They don't deal with that too much. The Rosicrucian order is more a little bit more secretive, and they deal with nothing but they deal with the esoteric science, like meditation, you know, experiments, stuff like that, dealing with rituals or meditation rituals, things of that nature.
Okay.
Which the Masonic order does.
Can we say that those are things that Madame Blavatsky and Hitler and those people were studying those type of occult mysticisms?
Oh, most definitely. Most definitely. Hitler used to belong to a society called the Thule Society.
Yeah.
Excuse me. He used to belong to the Thule Society. Madame Blavatsky, she had what you call the Theosophical Society. I mean, the study of God, or the study of the mind of God. That's what Theosophy means. And she had a society. She created a society, and also she was what you call a co-ed Mason, so-called co-ed Mason, because she was a 33rd degree Masonic.
Now, what is a co-ed?
Co-ed, that means co-ed. That means the unisex, or it was like men and women together.
Okay.
It was like a unisex Masonic order they had.
Is that coming from the Eastern Star side?
No, it's come from the Moorish science.
Okay.
All that's Moorish science on the surface. All of it is.
Oh, so she was pretty heavy.
Yes, she was. You've heard of the book called Isis Unveiled? She wrote a 2-part book on that, called Isis Unveiled, and she has another 2-part book called The Secret Doctrine that she wrote.
Now, I've even heard, I don't know if this is true, I've heard it at Round Table Talk there in Pasadena, where, like I said, when you get the Rose Bowl in JPL, there's a big house up there called the Theosophical Society Home, where Aleister Crowley and Madame Blavatsky and others, they used to do incantations there.
Could have. The Philosophical Society is mainly dealing with Manly P. Hall. That's what came later after the Theosophical Society. Aleister Crowley, he was a little off the chain with his stuff though, but he did hit on points on a lot of the sciences, he was doing.
Okay.
He went all the way off the chain, like a lot of people say he was.
Now,
but he was off the chain, though.
Now, what what are some of those things would you would say, coming from your point of view, that you would say that he was off the chain? That, where the brakes stop right there for you?
Well, he deal with a lot of what you call sex magic, and he would deal with. They said he's supposed to deal with some homosexuals and the rituals and things of that nature.
Okay.
Sometimes they would use drugs, and to me, it's artificial. It's not really getting into the meditation of things. Things of that nature. What he's supposed to have done. So I would say, yeah, he's a little off the chain.
He was hooking it up.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So, where are you from, my brother?
I'm originally from Pasadena, California.
Okay. So you still in California? Or?
No. I no longer live there.
Okay.
Yeah, I left here about 4.5 years ago. So.
Okay.
But I didn't know that the city that I live in, had this had all this mystery and symbolism to it.
Yes.
I didn't know this. But I did not know.
Yeah, California has a lot of mysticism about it and in it. Yes. There are a lot of mystery schools there also, from what I heard.
Yeah, they had one called the OTO.
Yeah, the OTO. I talked to a brother that was a member of the OTO last night. And he was telling about some of the rituals.
Yeah.
Which I think Alistair Crowley dealt with too.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, Alistair Crowley had started a church there in Pasadena called the Agape Number 2, which Jack Parsons and L. Ron Hubbard, I don't know which one was over it, but one of those two was over it. And then from out of there, you had L. Ron Hubbard, who started the Scientology. So I guess we could say that Scientology was maybe birthed out of this OTO.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, like I said, it's all based off of more science. I don't know how many books you have, what kind of books you have in your library, but it will if it'll interest you, it will be more interesting to you to get the book Egypt, the Light of the World, book 1 and book 2 by Gerald Massey, if you don't have it already.
What's
you
the
ever
name
heard
of it?
It's called Egypt, the Light of the World by Gerald Massey.
Hold on one second. I'm writing that down right now. Massey.
Yeah, Massey.
Egypt Light.
Yeah.
Of the world.
Egypt, the Light of the World.
Okay.
Another one called, these also 2 volumes called A Book of the Beginnings by the same author. Yeah.
Okay.
And also, you might want to check out some books by Mu'atta Ashby. Like one called Christian Yoga, 1 and 2.
Christian Yoga.
By Mu'atta Ashby. Ashby is ASHBY. His last name. Muata is M-U-A-T-A.
Okay.
Yeah,
I really appreciate you giving me these books.
Yeah,
I got something to look forward to.
Yes.
I don't have a lot of Egyptian knowledge or Kemetic knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I like calling and listening to brothers like yourself. You know,
right.
who really drops it heavy.
Right. Appreciate that, brother.
Talking Egypt and stuff like that. I just sit back with the big old ear and a pencil, take it all in.
Yeah. Another book you want to check out too is the Signs and Symbols, Primordial Man. By Albert Churchward. Churchward is spelled C-H-U-R-C-H-W-A-R-D. His first name is Albert, A-L-B-E-R-T.
Signs and Symbols. What is that last name again?
Signs and Symbols of Primordial Man.
What is that last name of the author again?
Oh, Churchward. I'll spell it again. C-H-U-R-C-H, like in church. And Ward, W-A-R-D.
Okay, yeah, I can look these up online, or actually go to the library and check them out. What out of all the books that you've dove into, which ones would you say that really have just snatched you by?
All of them.
Okay.
All of them. No, there's no such book greater than the other one. They're all great books. You know, for the one who is reaching for enlightenment, dealing with occult science, and dealing with our people, where it came from, and from our ancient foremothers and forefathers, and things like that.
Okay.
You know, yeah.
Gotcha. What do you think about from Babylon to Timbuktu, the Rudolph Winter?
Good book.
Mm-hmm.
Good book. Mm-hmm.
I like the way that he used the Bible in correlation with history and all that, and it brought everything all together and gave me a deeper understanding of the Bible. It put my black eyes on. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
It's like, whoa, you know, these were black people.
Right. Exactly. These are our people. These are our ancient foremothers and forefathers.
Yeah.
Let's see. You got that book, huh?
Yeah, I got it up here inside my truck.
Okay, good.
And,
good.
I haven't finished it. I've been, bits and pieces of it. That's all.
Right.
I got another one by Stanley Poole. It's called The Moors. Are you familiar with that one?
Oh, yeah. Moors in Spain?
Yes.
You want to get The Moors in Spain? And he also got another book called The Moors After Spain.
The Moors After Spain.
You got another one.
Oh, okay.
And you want to get the book called The Ancient and Modern Britons by David McRitchie. 1 and 2. Part 1 and 2. David McRitchie. McRitchie, MacRichie. T-I-E. That's his name, MacRichty.
Okay, ancient and modern Britain. I got it.
But 1 and 2. And,
okay, that's enough for me right now.
Okay.
Books.
Okay.
Yeah, that's I think that what you gave me right here, this will bring me to a.
Okay.
You know, I'm not a fast reader.
Okay, I got you.
You know, I print it off, and I definitely appreciate it.
Okay, brother. Appreciate you, God. Yes, sir, brother.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate brothers like yourself. You know, in these times where, you know, you have, and I know you will continue to bring more and more enlightenment.
Oh yeah.
To the walking dead, the sleep, the buried, everybody.
Oh yeah. You had any more questions?
No, I don't, brother. That's it for me.
Okay, brother. Peace.
Well, thank you so much.
No problem, brother. Okay. I'm reading in the book called The Lost Keys of Freemasonry by Manly P. Hall. Looking at the forward section by Reynold E. Blight, the 33rd degree Ananites Templar. It says here, reality forever eludes us. Why would he say that? Because actually we don't really deal with reality. We deal with what we perceive and as you can say been taught or socially engineered what reality is. In these short words, I say it again, reality forever eludes us. This is what he's talked about. Okay, let me go on. Infinity mocks our puny efforts to imprison it in definition and dogma. Our most splendid realizations are only enumerations of the life and his endeavors. Man is but a mollusk seeking to encompass the ocean. Yet, man may not cease his struggle to find God. There is a yearning in his soul that will not let him rest, an urge that compels him to attempt the possible, to attain the unattainable. He lifts feeble hands to grasp the stars, and despite a million years of failure and millenniums of disappointments, the soul of man springs heavenward with even greater avidity than when the race was young. He pursues even though the flying ideal of externally slips from his embrace, even though he never claps the goddess of his dreams. He refused to believe that she is a phantom. That's because he's been taught that way. He's been taught that women are beneath them. It is the European way of teaching them that at first when they came to Egypt, they saw all these women in power. You know, they couldn't understand that how all these women came in a position of power. So therefore, they're trying to degrade the women and put the women down. You know, and trying to say there is that the human family is patriarchal, which it is not. It is matriarchal. Okay, let me go on. To him, she is the only reality. He reaches upward and will not be content until the sword of Orion is in his hands and glorious Arcturus gleams from his breast. See, he's already dealing with astrology, dealing with the Orion belt. Those of you know what I'm talking about, right? Say, man is possible, searching for the sacred cup, Salompo, adventuring for the Holy Grail. Life is divine adventure, a splendid quest. The Holy Grail dealing actually with the blood of the human family. That is symbolic as well. It says, language fails. Words are more ciphers, and who can read the riddle? These words we use, what are but vain shadows of form and sense? We strive to clothe our highest thought with verbal trappings, that our brother may see and understand. And when we would describe a saint, he sees a demon. And when we would present a wise man, he beholds a fool. Fie upon you, he cries. Thou too art a fool. So wisdom drapes her truth with symbolism and covers her insight with allegory. And that is true. You see that in the Bibles, Holy Bibles, the Torahs, the Quran, because all of them are filled with astrological and astronomical science, symbolism, allegories. Those of you that know what I'm talking about the Quran also being an allegorical book. Not to be stepping on the toes of the Muslims now. All right, Muslims? All right. Let me go on. Creeds, rituals, poems are parables and symbols. The ignorant take them literally and build for themselves prison houses of words, and with bitter speech and bitter taunt denounce those who will not join them in the dungeon. Before the rapid invasion of the seer, dogma, and ceremony legend and trope dissolve and fade, and he sees behind the fact that the truth behind the symbol, the reality. Those of you that are Masons, they ask you, what is Masonry? And they describe as a Masonry is a system of morality, veiled in allegory, illustrated by symbols. See, it's up to the people to unveil the allegory, what they are talking about in certain stories, even in the Bible itself, even in the Quran, or even the Torah, or even in for you, the Hindustanis, or what people call Indians of India, the Bhagavad Gita. Okay? Says here, though the shadow shines ever the perfect light. When is a Mason, or what is a Mason? He is a man who is in his heart has been duly and truly prepared, has been found worthy and well qualified, has been admitted to the fraternity of builders, been invested with certain passwords and signs by which he may be unable to work and receive wages as a master mason, and travel in foreign lands in search of that which was lost, the word. Now, stop right here. Okay, the search of which was lost, which was word. Actually, they're talking about the human family again. A lot of the sacred sciences has been taken away from the people and has been placed in the lodges, which they do not belong, as I said in the lecture earlier. This is what it relates to. And this is what we have to get back to lift ourselves up from fallen humanity. Okay. It says here, Freemasonry, though not a religion, is essentially religious, and it has some religious things about it. Most of its legends and allegories are of sacred nature. Much of it's woven into the structure of Christianity. We have learned to consider our own religion as the only inspired one, And this probably accounts for much of misunderstanding in the world today concerning the place occupied by Freemasonry in the spiritual ethics of our race. A religion is a divinely inspired code of morals. A religious person is one inspired to nobler living by this code. He is identified by the code, which is the source of illumination. Thus, we may say that a Christian is one who receives his spiritual ideas of right and wrong from the message of the Christ. Now I'm going to stop right here. Well, a lot of people look at Christ like, and he says the Christ. Most of us look for Christ outside of ourselves, but actually it's the Christ within ourselves. A lot of us said that we are searching for something. We're looking for an answer, and the answer is ourselves within us. It is within us that we can attain true Christhood. Okay? It says here, while a Buddhist is one who molds his life into the archetype of morality given by the great Gautama or one of the other Buddhas, all doctrines which seek to unfold and preserve that invisible spark in man named spirit are said to be spiritual. Because you've got to realize, everybody has to realize that spirituality and religion is not the same thing. One can be just as spiritual not being part of a church or a synagogue or a temple or a mosque or a cathedral. You don't have to go to these edifices. Those are just edifices. Those are just buildings. But you have to learn to go to the mosque, the church, the cathedral, the synagogue, and the temple from within, because they all within us. That's what we all have to do. Go on. It says here, there is a religion, a wonderful point of balance, where the materialists and spiritists meet on the plane of logic and reason. Science and theology are two ends of a single truth, but the world will never receive the full benefits of their investigations until they have made peace with each other. That's right. Peace with each other, meaning peace with ourselves. We have to battle. We have to battle between the higher self and the lower self. There is the true Armageddon. When the higher self, the spiritual self, finally conquers the lower self, the material world, that's when we win the true war of Armageddon. Because it's all within us. The same thing with the Islamic religion. When people talk about jihad, it's talking about the battle between the higher self and the lower self, not some kind of terrorist act or some kind of stupid terrorist activities, blowing up buildings and beheading people because in the name of Islam, which is Islam had nothing to do with that shit. It's got nothing to do with Islam. That's not religion, and that's definitely not spirituality. All right, let me go on. It says here, the 12 fellow craftsmen are exploring the 4 points of the compass. Are not those 12 of the 12 great world religions, each seeking in his own way for that which was lost in the ages past, in the quest for which it is the birthright of man. The birthright. Interesting. Because that's what we are talking about, nationality and birthright. Because our nationality and birthright was stolen from us as a people. So now we must try to get them back. This is why most of the Prince Hall Masons and most of the other Asiatic Masons of the other orders are not being recognized, because it's not about skin color. It's about birthright and nationality issues, as we have been misled to believe. Okay? It says here, it is not the quest for reality in a world of illusions, the task for which here each comes into the world. We are here to gain balance in a sphere of unbalance, to find rest in a restless thing, to unveil illusion, and to slay the dragon of our own animal natures. Stop here again. Now, what is he talking about? I'm going to say it again. We are here to gain balance in a sphere of unbalance, to find rest in a restless thing, to unveil illusion, and to slay the dragon of our own animal natures. Because the dragon is us. Our own animal natures is our lower self. That's what he's talking about. But when you read books like The Lost Keys of Freemasonry and other books by Madeline P. Hall and other Madame Blavatsky books, when you read these books, you must understand allegory and symbolism, and you must understand cosmological science, ceramics, symbols. You must learn to study them, and therefore you may understand books like these that I'm reading to you tonight. But this is what he's talking about. It says here, as an example, as David, king of Israel, gave to the hands of his son Solomon the task he could not accomplish, so each generation gives to the next the work of building the temple, or rather rebuilding the dwelling of the Lord, which is on Mount Moriah. Moriah. He's talking about building your own temple, your own body, your own self, our own selves, not some edifice or building structure. All right? It says here, truth is not lost, yet it must be sought for and found. Reality is ever present, dimensionless, yet all prevailing. Man, creature of attitudes and desires, and servant of impressions and opinions, cannot, with the wavering unbalance of an untutored mind, learn to know that which he himself does not possess. A man attains equality. He discovers that quality, and recognize about him the thing newborn within himself. Right, newborn within himself. It's like a baptism, like people go to church, they say they are being baptized. It's like being reborn. It's also symbolic, because when you be baptized in church and going to the way into the water, it's symbolic and allegorical to when you were born. When you were born, your mother's water broke. So you must be born again. Therefore, you must be baptized in the water. That's what they're actually talking about, but they will not teach you in most of these churches today. They will not teach you that. But that's what the allegory means, to be born again. I say it again. When your mother's water broke, you were born when your mother's waters broke. So therefore, you must be born again. The preacher must dip your head back into the water, so you'll be born again. Okay. Says here, a man attains equality, for he discovers the quality and recognizes about him the thing newborn within himself. Man is born with eyes, yet only after long years of sorrow does he learn to see clearly and in harmony with the plan. Sure. He learns to spiritually see, mentally see. That's what he learns. We're talking about the spiritually living being and mentally living being. That's what they're talking about. Spiritual death is mental death, as opposed to spiritual life and mental life. They're not talking about on the physical plane. So he is born with senses, but only after long experience and fruitless striving does he bring these senses to the temple and lays them as offerings upon the altar of the great Father, who alone does all things well and with understanding. Man is in truth born in the sin of ignorance, but with a capacity for the understanding. He has a mind capable of wisdom, a heart capable of feeling, and a heart strong for the great work in life. During the rough